Good afternoon. This is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the bigger picture webinar for the afternoon of Sunday, the 5th of April. My disclaimer: I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some what I'm doing, learn from it, transfer it to your own charts, and I'm not here to issue trading signals. This is a video for paying subscribers at ctmthebiggerpicture.substack.com. It's published on YouTube after a delay of a week. All right, great. Let's have a look at the at the futures charts. On equities and ES, we've seen a decent little rally here. We didn't quite make it back up to the retest here on Friday. I was wondering if that might give us a potential level top setup, which we haven't got here. This could, of course, be a bull flag forming, but I think looking at the news on the war, I mean, we've got some very nice setups to basically get us down into the 5,900, 6,000 area on SPX, and that kind of depends on whether the wars are ongoing. No negotiations are taking place. Trump is repeatedly threatening, to bomb Iran back into the Stone Age, and is basically saying he's going to start doing that in 2 days. I'm at the risk of, obviously Trump's not necessarily a person you take at his word particularly, but at the moment that actually seems the most likely thing to be happening. So if that happens, that will be a dramatic escalation of the war. You will likely see Iran escalate its attacks on its neighbors, and we probably will see, the Houthis close down the next strait, which is actually even more important than the Strait of Hormuz. So at that stage, I think we may well see oil prices at $200 a barrel. And if Trump goes ahead with the campaign he's talking about, we may well set the wheels in motion for him, for his personal invitation for retirement at The Hague and Hagseth as well. So we will see how it goes. I don't think he's too worried about that. He seems to really enjoy the prospect, actually. And of course, his best friends Putin and Netanyahu both already have indictments from The Hague. So, I don't think he's too worried about getting another one, but not a great moment for America and not a great moment for anyone who uses oil at this stage. All right, in terms of ES then, nice little rally. Looks as though it may well be failing within a day or two. Yesterday, he was talking about basically they had 48 hours left, and that basically says sometime Monday. That timescale, that countdown will run out. Looking at NQ, again, we saw a pullback, we saw a rally, but really, I'm looking down. So at the moment, if the Iran war is going to escalate, then I think down is very much the obvious direction. RTY, we came really close to retest the high here, although that would have been slightly large for a double top, I think. We've still got an open double bottom here. We had double bottoms on ES and NQ. Both of those made target. So the one on RTY hasn't made target yet. We will see. If we continue higher, which at the moment seems like a bit of a long shot, then that's got a shot. In terms of Dyer and YM, if peace breaks out, we've got a really nice looking little double top bottom here. At the moment, this just seems unlikely to deliver anything, so we will see. This looks like a bear flag forming on DAX. This looks like a bear flag forming on ESTX. And we've got what looks like probably a bear flag also on Nikkei. So let's have a look at those on the bigger picture charts. Alrighty. All right, looking at SPX. SPX on ES, I've put in all the new weekly pivots as usual, of course. So, but looking at ES, we've seen a nice rally back up to the daily middle band, which has been tested, and that is the obvious resistance. On SPX, I was talking about the daily middle band and the 200 DMA. 200 DMA, of course, is dropping down to 200 DMA is still rising a bit. So those have separated since I was writing about that a couple of days ago. We have tested the daily middle band. That's holding as resistance. That is the obvious resistance. Looking at the hourly chart, no current divergence. Could we be forming inverted head and shoulders here? Yeah, potentially we could. In the absence of peace breaking out, is that really likely to have a shot at going upwards? I'm thinking probably not. But I am watching, and we do have, for instance, a pretty decent looking potential falling megaphone here. I always track to see the potential bullish patterns, and this is a potential bullish pattern. I've drawn in the potential IHS, I've drawn in the potential falling megaphone for which we haven't reached resistance yet, and I'm watching it, but at the moment, I think that this is everything. While the war is still escalating, everything is on the long shot side. All right, looking at the Qs, I was looking for a back test of the daily middle band, and we've had it. 200 DMA, of course, is again rising while the daily middle band is falling. So again, we've reached the upper resistance. Looking at the hourly chart, no current divergence. Do we have a pattern from the high? Yes, we do. And actually, it's a pretty nice looking falling megaphone. We haven't reached resistance yet. It hasn't broken up. Could it, on the bigger picture, be a bull flag? Yeah, it could. Yeah, that really could. So I'm watching that with great interest, but again, doesn't really seem like it's got a huge shot at the moment. All right, in terms of SPX, what are we looking at in terms of patterns for the downside? We've got a big double top, which is broken down with a target in the 6042 to 6121 range. So that's where we're looking on SPX. On the Qs, we've got a large double top, which is breaking down, has broken down with a target in the 523 to 524 range. And again, that's looking good. We will see how that goes. On Dia, I was looking for a back test of the daily middle band, maybe higher. We did go a bit higher. We closed on the daily middle band on on Wednesday, and we basically traded below it and closed on it on Friday. This is holding resistance at the moment. In terms of the hourly chart, not a lot to see. In terms of the 15-minute chart, I'm looking at the patterns here, and potentially we've got a falling wedge which has broken up. It's not a great one on the resistance side, but I've got quite a nice support trend line here. I'm watching that with interest. We have a potential little level bottom which is breaking up slightly. I'm watching it, but again, as I said, I didn't really see these things having much of a shot while hostilities are ongoing, and at the moment there is absolutely nothing to suggest hostilities are about to end. All right, looking at IWM. IWM, we have broken slightly above the daily middle band on both Wednesday and Thursday. We will see how that goes. That wasn't unexpected. We've got, as this had been holding up better in the last move down. In terms of the hourly chart, no current divergence. In terms of the 15-minute chart, we've got a potential level bottom here. Again, like the one on Dia, I'm not holding my breath either for it to break up or to deliver if it does break up, but it is something worth considering. We don't really have a downtrend pattern worth to mention. All right, great. Let's have a look at DAX. DAX, we didn't get a buy signal at the low because we just lost divergence at the bottom. We've gone back. We've tested the daily middle band. It's holding resistance at the moment. And on Nikkei, we've got a test of the daily middle band again. That is holding as resistance. No sign of the head and shoulders failing, and the head and shoulders, if it is failing, is broken down with a target of the 43.2K area. Just a reminder, on IWM, we've got a head and shoulders which is broken down with the 216 area. I was watching with interest to see whether that might fail, but it's not failing. So it would need to move above this level here, which is about 577, and we've not got close to that level. All right, great. Let's move on and have a look at the dollar. All right, looking at the dollar, we had a bull flag that broke up, retested the high. That gives us a potential level top. I'm not expecting that to play out. At the moment, we've seen, and as I was showing, this also mirrors something we were seeing after the Ukraine invasion in 2022. But at the moment, that is looking pretty good to the upside, and we'll probably see a trend which outlives the current crisis, if the current crisis ends, and there's not much sign of that happening at the moment. All right, so DX, we've got a 6-minute buy signal as reached the possible near miss target, and we have a decision point here whether this can turn back down or continue to the upside. If the Iran war is going to continue, I'm favoring continuation to the upside. All right, looking at UUSD. Not a lot to see here. We've still got a bear flag which is broken down with a target at a retest of this low. We'll see how that goes. GBP USD, we've got a potential level bottom here, but again, we had a bear flag. We tested the low, could easily continue lower. USD JPY, I've still got an obvious target up above in about the 162 area. 6-minute buy signal has reached the possible near miss target. USD CAD, we have a high here which managed to get over the January high, and we're coming back in for a retest. May well continue higher. Australian dollar, We've got a head and shoulders which is broken down here with a target in the 0.663 area, and obviously that would be a good fit with the dollar continuing to go up. And NZUSD is making a lower low below anything we've seen so far this year and may continue lower, but we've got a potential little level bottom set up here short term. All right, let's have a look at these on the bigger picture charts. And USD CAD, obviously we've got the overall bull flag, and we've got the little level bottom which is broken up, and this is a pretty this is looking pretty good in terms of what we would expect to see in an oil crisis based on what happened in 2022. So we've broken up from here, and as the crisis deepens, chances are this will continue to break to the upside. And I've got a target there currently in about the 104.572 to 105.239 range. So basically bracketing the 105 area. So I'm thinking we may well be continuing up into a retest of this high here at 114.78, and this is a bull flag from that high, and it's a nice one. That's backed up, of course. No current divergence. Well, we've got a possible weak RSI 14 sell signal brewing here. Not really expecting that to deliver anything. We've got an RSI 5 sell signal as fixed here. These are the sort of things that will get overrun in a strong uptrend. But of course, if peace suddenly breaks out in Iran, then this could potentially start reversing. That big bull flag on the US dollar is matched by a big bear flag on USD and on GBP USD. In terms of the short term on USD, we've got a nice looking double top, which is trying to break down with a target in the 1.1019 to 1.0855 area. On GBP USD, we've got a nice looking double top. It hasn't broken down yet, but that would, we've got a head and shoulders, which is broken down with a target in the 1.29 area, but the big double top would break down with a target considerably lower in about the 1.21 area, potentially at a larger head and shoulder neckline. So watching that with great interest. In terms of USD JPY, whatever happens here, this would benefit from a retest of 162. We're pretty close to that, and I'm thinking it may well reach that in the next few days. We do have a weak RSI 14 sell signal fixed and an RSI 5 sell signal fixed on the daily chart. And we've got a potential little level top here. So watching that as well. USD CAD, we've obviously been trading in this big range for about the last 10 years. I'm thinking we can get back up and retest the high here at 1.4793. We'll see. In terms of the daily chart, on a retest of this high here, which we didn't quite manage on Thursday, I'm thinking we could get some sell signals brewing, and that would be something to note. On the Australian dollar, we broke up over this declining resistance trend line. Not sure how much to read into that, really. Not really seeing anything in terms of a pattern here. Could we be setting up to break down to retest this low here at 0.551? Yes, and that actually really would be the obvious next move. In terms of the daily chart, no current divergence. We do have a double top here, which is broken down, which I haven't marked in, but I think it's got a target in about the 675 area. Looking at NZUSD. We've broken up slightly from this triangle here, but it does look as though this might be a bearish overthrow before a breakdown. So if so, I've got support here in about the 54.90 area, and I'll be watching that as and when we reach it. Nothing really to mention on the daily chart apart from we do have a possible RSI 5 bicycle break. All right, great. Let's have a look at bonds. So bear with me a moment. All right, let's have a look at ZB. Okay, ZB. All right, now I have been talking about a rally here. We haven't actually been seeing a lot of rally. We do have a double bottom here, which is broken up with a target in the 115.26 area. I'm thinking we might make more progress, to be honest. But to be honest, it's not going to help as the Iran war escalates, because that's really been sending bonds down. We shall see. In terms of ZN, we have a potential double bottom here. It's not a great one, so I haven't marked it in. I am wondering about more rally here, and I'll talk more about that as we get into the bigger picture charts. All right, let's have a look at the TYX chart. Now, TYX, I'm thinking we may well be forming the inverted head and shoulders, right shoulder on a big RHS, and we are continuing to progress with that and holding support at the monthly pivot at the moment. On the daily chart, no current divergence, but we've got what looks an awful lot like a big rising wedge here, and I'm looking for a target tested wedge resistance, which would be at about the 51, 55 to 60 area. In terms of the short-term chart, though, we've got an RSI 5 sell signal fixed on the daily. I'm leaning towards seeing some more downside. We're testing the daily middle band. That's holding so far. If we're going to make that sell signal target, that's going to need to break. It could be, though, that a flight to the US dollar and against bonds in the events that the Iran war escalates would overrun that, but I'm thinking that still has a shot. And I've got similar targets on similar patterns on setups on TNX and TLT. All right, I'm looking at TNX on the monthly chart. I'm seeing the same possible inverted head shoulders. I'll be writing a post about that in the next few days. On the weekly chart, no current divergence. On the daily chart, we have a nice looking triangle. The next obvious target. Sorry, this is a weekly BB's chart, but I mean, on the next obvious target within that triangle would be triangle resistance just over 46. In terms of the daily chart, we've got a weak RSI 14 sell signal fixed and an RSI 5 sell signal fixed. We're holding support at the daily middle band at the moment. Obviously, to make those targets realistically, we're going to need to break below the daily middle band, and I think we've got at the moment, it looks as though the Iran war is going to escalate. That's probably not going to help. The bonds have been falling with the Iran war so far, and that will probably continue, and that would mean that this would go up because that is yield, so it's opposite, inversely correlated. TNX on 60-minute, we've still got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed. Not really reading a lot into that at this stage. It's not been making a lot of progress. FVX, we have another triangle. I'm looking for the next target being a triangle resistance in about the 42.5 area. I'm looking at TLT. We've got another RSI 5 buy signal fixed. We've got a double top here, which is broken down with a target in the 81.2 area, but I'm thinking that might be we quite often get a significant bounce after a breakdown like this, and we might be seeing some more, but again, that is holding resistance at the daily band at the moment. On the hourly chart, RSI 14 buy signal fixed, but again, it's been hanging around for a while. I am wondering if these the double bottom here and the double top here on TLT are going to fail. We shall see. All right, great. Let's have a look at oil. Okay, looking at Brent. Brent is getting pretty close to we'd already overtaken the 9th of March high. We're getting pretty close to a break higher, and if the Iran war escalates, well, as I'm saying, I don't think 200 is off the table, and as it is at the moment, we're seeing on the futures considerably lower than the price being paid for physical. Physical on Brent is currently at the barrel head is about 140 to 160. That is a big divergence, and sooner or later, I would expect, certainly if the war is going to escalate, I would expect the futures price to catch up with that. In the meantime, this is looking considerably lower than where it should be, and it's still pretty damn high. Looking at CL, we've now made it not quite back up to a retest this high, but we're in that right area. So we shall see how that goes. But again, I'll be looking higher. But this is the most insulated from the war because West Texas Intermediate, which is what light crude is mainly produced in the US. It is one of the least valuable of the oils from a what you can get out of it point of view, but nonetheless, it's very valuable and it's produced mainly in the US. So we're not looking really at a significant supply disruption there. HO has gone higher. RBOB is getting pretty close to going higher. We shall see how this goes. If the war escalates, I would expect all of these to go up considerably. If the Houthis get involved and close off the other strait, which also is the strait from the Suez Canal, then we're going to see oil go up an awful lot. Because also that other strait is where a lot of the oil is currently being diverted through. Looking at NG, there is absolutely no sign here that this is being affected by the war in Iran. That's not altogether surprising. I'm looking lower. All right, let's have a look at this on the bigger picture charts. And looking at Brent, we are breaking up towards. I mean, I was talking about these not only just having bottoming patterns here. You can see the level bottom, which is the more than made target, but these were also basically acting as flags. And I was looking for retest of these highs here at 134.91, which is next on Brent, and possibly a retest of the all-time high at 147.50. That is well in progress at the moment, so we shall see. In terms of the weekly chart, no current divergence. Well on the way to retesting that high. Looking at the daily chart, though, we do have an RSI 14 sell signal fixed and an RSI 5 sell signal fixed. We shall see how that goes. But these sort of things tend to just, these things can take a while to make target when you're in a strong trend to the opposite. And if we're seeing the Iran war escalating, then we are in a strong trend in the opposite direction. WTIC, again, that flag would be looking for a retest of this high here at 126.42, possibly with continuation onto a retest of the all-time high at 147.27. I did work out how much that would be. This was in 2008, this all-time high, and actually, if you adjust for the value of the fall in the value of money, you would be looking at about $223 at the moment. So if we want to see a new all-time high, that's where it would need to go to. In terms of the weekly chart, not really a lot to see at the moment, getting pretty close to this flag target in the 125.35 area. And we've got on the daily chart, we're not going to see any daily sell signals forming until we see a retest of this high here at 119.48, although it does look as though we might see that within a day or two, which would give us some negative divergence on the daily RSI 14. Looking at heating oil, we've already made the initial target. We've made the flag target at a retest of 4.47. This is already at new all-time highs. On weekly chart, no divergence. We have got an RSI 14 and an RSI 5 sell signal fixed on the daily chart, but if the Iran war is going to escalate, I'd be leaning towards more upside in any case. Looking at the slightly smaller daily chart, you can see this IHS broke up. I was watching this for months and months and months, and it made target like a champ. Looking at gas oil, we've got a target for that flag, would be a target retest the all-time high, that 4.12. We've made the initial level bottom target with quite a lot of enthusiasm. So we will see how it goes. But I'm expecting to see this target made at 412 unless something dramatic changes. On the daily chart, we've got weak RSI 14 and RSI 5 sell signals fixed. Again, I'm not really looking for anything for these while the war is escalating. And particularly while the Houthis are waiting to stand by to make the crisis an awful lot worse. Looking at natural gas, if we're not going to see any impact on the prices from the Iran war, then the obvious next step is to go lower and to hit this trend line here. And I've got that, hang on. I've got that currently at about the 2.63 area. That is the obvious next trend line target. So if we're not going to see any impact from the Iran war, and there's not, I think natural gas is actually based on the kind of natural gas which is transported through pipelines, not liquefied natural gas. Which is very much a different product and would be obviously a lot more expensive because there's a lot more industrial treatment involved in terms of liquefying it and getting it, high pressure storage and all this sort of stuff. So this being the case, I'm expecting this to go lower. I'm not aware of the futures for liquefied natural gas, but obviously this isn't it. All right, let's have a look at metals. All right, looking at GC. Now GC, I am wondering whether we do have some sell signals which are looking further down on precious metals, but I am wondering very much whether we have already seen the retracement here. I was looking for a bull flag here and not the end of the bull market. And even if we see lower, I'm still not really looking for the end of the bull market. But I was thinking we could see a sharp retracement. We've seen one. This is a very nice looking flag, which we'll get to when we look at the bigger picture charts. And I've got an IHS, which is broken up with the target in the 5111 area. Now, what happens when the Iran war escalates? Because before this, we've seen gold go down. But my argument really would be that gold was just doing what it was doing anyway, which is it was in a retracement mode forming a bull flag. I'm thinking that now that we have some nice bull flags, this may actually start reacting as a flight to safety again, and we might actually start seeing this go up considerably. We will see how that goes, but I'm thinking that may well happen. In terms of silver, 60-minute buy signal is fixed, hasn't made target yet. Kind of looks like a bear flag. Could be an IHS forming, maybe. Looking at palladium. kind of looks like a bear flag, but again, there is an argument. It's not going to be a great IHS, but just to draw in, sorry, I can't draw on this particular one, but you can see this would be the neckline on it. I am wondering if this might be an IHS instead. On platinum, I'm also wondering whether this might be an IHS. So these might be things that look like flags, but actually are more IHSs. This would be a decent looking IHS. They're all decent. They're slightly strange looking, but they're decent quality. In terms of the HG, if we had an IHS here, which is debatable, that's probably breaking up. But I'm thinking we're just seeing a bit more of a rally. 60-minute sell signals reached possible near miss target. This also kind of looks like a bear flag forming, but doesn't necessarily have to be. All right, let's have a look at those on the bigger picture charts. And on gold, we have a beautiful pull flag channel. That is nice. It's really, really nice. And we are testing the daily middle band as resistance here. If you can get over it, then we're off to the races. Looking at silver, we've got a falling megaphone here, which looks like it's breaking up. And again, this looks like a flag. I'm thinking these may be the bull flags for this move. It may be that we will extend lower. We do have some signals suggesting we might go lower. We made the target on the weekly RSI 5 sell signal, but we've still got an open RSI 14 one. On silver, we did the same. Well, reached possible near miss target on the RSI 5 one. Don't think we've got anything on the dailies, no. And RSI 14 sell signal on silver has reached possible near miss target. But if we look at the others, palladium's got an open RSI 14 sell signal. Platinum has got an RSI 14 sell signal on the weekly chart. I am wondering about the potential further downside here, but this is a very good area right here where we could break out of the downtrend and break back up. And really, in the overall context, that seems like the logical thing to do. In terms of copper, sell signal reached possible near miss target. I think we're seeing a bit of a rally here, but I'm still thinking mainly downtrend. I'm not really thinking that copper's likely, the Iran war is likely to be good for copper. GDX, again, we got a weekly RSI 14 sell signal fix. The RSI 5 ones, which are more common and I take more seriously, have made target, and I'm thinking this may be the end of the move, but we do have potential to go lower. We've got a level top which is broken down here, and we got another similar one on GDXJ. So we are going to have to see how those go. All right, great. Let's have a look at, give me a moment. Let's have a look at the other commodities. Okay, KC. KC, we've got RSI, 60-minute buy signal fix. This looks like a bear flag for me. SB, no current divergence. This could be a bull flag for me. Overall, CC looks like it's forming a bear flag or a triangle, and if it's a bear flag, we've got another retest, another high, slightly over 3,500 coming. In terms of the CT chart, this is still pretty close to the highs and maybe breaking higher. Lumber, we've got what could be. I think overall, I'm looking for a resumption of the downtrend. Again, it's very hard to see the Iran war having a positive effect on lumber, but we're not seeing anything particularly concrete suggesting that might be the case yet. On ZW, I think this is a bullish consolidation. On corn, I think this is a bullish consolidation. On soy, I'm thinking we're probably going to see a little bit of a move down here, and that could set up a very nice bullish move on the big picture chart. On ZL, kind of leaning towards seeing a retest this high here in the 70 area, just as we are so close to it. Live cattle is continuing higher. Possible 60-minute sell signal brewing, and lean hogs is, if this is a bull flag, and it looks like one, I really we've been tracing this through for weeks as it is formed, then the next obvious move is up. All right, great. Let's have a look at the bigger picture on the commodities. On coffee. Coffee is seeing a rally after hitting a big support level at in the 2.75 area. Don't know how far that's going to get. We don't have any positive divergence on the weekly chart. We had a weekly RSI 5 buy signal fixed, and that's made target. We do have a little IHS which has broken up with a target in, I think, the 3.32 area, although I haven't marked that in for some reason. We shall see how that goes. We've seen a bit of a pullback. That has not failed, and I'm thinking we may well go off and make that target at 3.32. Looking at sugar. Sugar, Bigger picture, I'm wondering about a move down into the 905 area. We are seeing a rally at the moment. We have got a monthly RSI 5 buy signal, which is a pretty good buy signal. On the weekly chart, we've got a weak RSI 14 buy signal fixed, and we've got a falling wedge here. And I'm watching to see whether we see a break of wedge resistance, but you can see we've touched it. And that's actually pretty encouraging for viewing this as something which may well break out, may well be real and be about to break out. So we are turning back down at the moment, and obviously that could come back down to the support trend line here. But I'm watching that with great interest. I think that might deliver quite a decent rally, although it won't necessarily invalidate the bigger picture targets down. On sugar, on the daily chart, we've got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed, and I've got us going slightly over the resistance here, which is encouraging for a move up later. Looking at cocoa, we've been seeing a bit of a rally stroke sideways action here. We had reached a fairly big level in about 3 area. Currently, this looks like a bear flag forming. Looking at cotton, I'm thinking we've got a double bottom here. I'm going to be writing about this and wheat and corn, talking about these as potential beneficiaries in terms of price terms of the shortage of fertilizer coming through the Strait of Hormuz. And we've got a lovely double bottom here, which has just been hanging around for quite a while. And if we see a sustained break over 73.51, the target would be in the 87 to 88 area. That would be a very modest retracement of this very large move down from the 2022 high. In terms of the daily chart, possible RSI 5 sell signal brewing. We had the same on the RSI 14, but we've lost the divergence now. Looking at lumber, overall, this is a bear flag looking for a retest this low here at 352.50, and we've got a double top which is broken down with a target in the 352.50 retest area. So overall, this is in a downtrend. I've not seen anything suggest this isn't going to continue in that downtrend. Looking at wheat, we've got a lovely double bottom here, which is trying to break up. And on corn, we've got a lovely double bottom as well, which is thinking about breaking up. We shall see. Looking at the daily chart on wheat, RSI 14 sell signal is fixed. Looking at corn, RSI 14 sell signal is fixed, RSI 5 sell signal made target. And on soybeans, which is particularly interesting, I'm looking at a potential inverted head and shoulders, right shoulder forming here, and I'm thinking that may continue down a bit and then break up and give that a sizable upside target as well. I'm thinking these could be big beneficiaries in terms of price from the war in Iran, so we shall see. Right, let's have a look at crypto. All right, so let's have a look. Quick look at crypto, and here nothing's changed. We have been rallying a bit. We're still below the 50 DMA and the daily middle band on Bitcoin. We've got a nice looking bear flag forming, which is trying to break down. And this is the close-up of the flag. You can see the flag is breaking down, and looks like we're forming a small bear flag to continue down. If we are going to see an extension, a widening of the Iran war, then I would expect equities to go down, and I'd expect crypto to go down with them. So the flag target for a retest of the low on crypto would be at 60.1k. Looking at Solana, Solana again hanging out low, pretty close to the daily low band, below resistance at the 50 DMA and the daily middle band. Sorry, pretty close to the daily lower band. So we've got a flag here, it's broken down, and I'm looking for a retest this low here at 67.65. If the Iran war widens, which I'm expecting it to do, then again, looking down. Ethereum on the daily chart, we are below the daily middle band. On the flag, that hasn't broken down yet. It's not as nice as flag as the other two, but it is still likely to be a flag. As and when it breaks down, I'll be looking for a retest this low here at 1746.93. All right, great. In that case, I think that's a wrap. Everyone take care, and I'll catch you guys again on Wednesday. Everyone have a nice rest of the holiday weekend.